Hi, my name is Nathan Gerbrandt, and this is your Why, Our Reply for de-escalating potentially violent situations. All right. Let's see what we got here. Oh, geez. First run, let's see how this goes. What are the steps of de-escalation? Well, we offer our De-escalating potentially violent situations course, which has 4 distinct steps. They're not all of same importance, but they are kind of in most escalated, heightened emotional situations, interactions, they follow somewhat of this kind of a format for the training that's most beneficial for us, the person involved in that de-escalation. And the first is really awareness. Understanding what's going on, thinking about yourself. This is a really internal kind of process. What's my mindset? Am I engaged? Where do I have my exits physically? Do I have a purse around my neck, flip-flop shoes? Do I need to move? Do I need to get in a ready position? And also just grounding myself, getting like a moment or two of self-talk. Second is connection. I would say this is likely the most important one. This is the one where all the strategies come in. This is where you think empathically, you bring your real trauma-informed lens around what's going on for this person. Is there something that I'm not understanding? Violence is often, or anger is often an attempt to be heard. So what message, what is this person trying to communicate in that? And there's a host of other strategies that we contain within connection around how do I just contribute to an interaction that demonstrates that I'm not your enemy. We can be finding a solution together so that we can get out of this in a non-violent, non-aggressive kind of way. How do I lend my calm to that? The third is problem solving, which I would often say is one we tend to naturally want to get to too quickly. We want to kind of rationalize, use our training, but this is where you might want to problem solve when we're going to follow up and reconnect. The last one is disengagement. This is one that you also almost want to be thinking about the entire time, because the goal of this course, the goal of de-escalation, is that we can find some kind of solution, but in the end, it's also to get yourself home and safe and back to work the next day, back to your family. And so where are your exits? Where is there a gap in the conversation that I can naturally say, hey, how about we go walk over and visit so-and-so, and maybe they can help us with this, bringing in another person. Maybe this isn't a situation that you need security and that's beyond your ability to resolve, and then it's literally getting out physically as fast as you can. All right. Let's see what number 2 has to offer here. This tape thing is always fun to get rid of. All right, what does it mean to have a trauma-informed approach? This is a big question. We could talk about it for a whole day. But what I think is the essence of a trauma-informed approach is appreciating that there might be something else going on in this situation that I just don't understand. There's a backstory, there's a different baseline for this person that I am now confronted with that is yelling or angry at me, that maybe my knee-jerk reaction might be to whoa, and I've got self-talk get me out of here, and this person's after me, and I personalize it, and calming that, quieting that maybe inner voice, and being curious and wondering, what might have happened to make this behavior make sense for this person? Somehow they're communicating something through anger. Anger is not an illogical reaction. We all get angry. And so whatever your process is to appreciate that, hey, I've been angry too. I've lost control. I've said things that did not make sense and probably offended other people. And so how do we harness a bit of empathy, a bit of understanding in that situation to then generate sometimes the energy, the focus to be calm, to offer maybe a bit of my non-anxious sort of approach, and find a way to be inquisitive, to ask what might have happened, how can I help, can you tell me more about that, and listen. I'm getting better at taking these off here. What are some concerning behaviors that I should look out for in the moment? When I think about in the moment, so this is this reaction that something is going on. I mean, I'm going to preface this by saying there's a bit of a defensive driving mentality that I think is like a more of a philosophy that we bring to our interactions always, so that we're always sort of attuned to, before we actually climb anger mountain and someone is like pumping their chest or yelling, and then you know, that's easy. That loud anger, then we kind of harness our training and we engage and we use our tips and our skills, but more subtle in the moment, I think. Signs are sort of the most key to look for. And this could be something like a reddened face, someone maybe breathing a little quicker, people a little more defensive, they're shorter in their tone. Just things that change in pattern with somebody like a colleague or a client that you're like, why? Something's just triggering my intuition. And I think the key is that we listen to our intuition. And that doesn't mean that we jump into judgment and then we get aggressive in that moment, but it just causes us to pause and listen a little deeper. Maybe set down our agenda, move away from our keyboard for a moment and wonder and ask our brain, ask ourselves a little more curious questions. Practically, you may also notice that someone's hiding something behind their back. Maybe if you're engaged on the street, someone might have a backpack that they're like guarding a little closer. There's a bulge in their pocket. There's a whole bunch of warning signs that we get into specifically in this course. Though I think the most prominent and important are the psychological ones that are more in the background of our consciousness, that kind of, something's a little different. Listen to that. All right, next one. This is a big board. Next time, let's have a smaller board. How does emotional regulation play a role in de-escalation? Well, if you're looking at emotional regulation, I mean, we're talking about an emotionally heightened interaction here. Hopefully we're interceding at a point beyond there's a physicality or there's a weapon drawn here. So we're playing in the regulation, co-regulation space. The most prescient thing that you can do is think about yourself, to know, to own your own abilities to regulate, to understand kind of what pushes your buttons, what are your triggers, and how do you engage in that quieting of your consciousness, the self-talk kind of mantras that work for you, the breathing. Connecting the physical with the psychological is paramount in this. And so that's really about yourself. It's bringing your own techniques and training throughout your life that you can enter stressful situations, the workplace, benign interactions with a calm, with a positive attitude, to find connection, to bring a sense of curiosity to those interactions. I mean, this comes from a place of knowing yourself and a confidence in your ability to engage. And that doesn't mean you always have the right words, but that you can bring the essence of who you are, that you're a person just curious, just trying to connect with another person. Because if there's any kind of defensive, confrontational, I'm anxious as well too, that's going to be putting kind of a little gasoline on the fire. I wonder if sticky tack would work there better. What are enablers of violence? Enablers, that's a word that I think probably is not always thrown around as much, but it's an important word for our approach to de-escalation. We talk about enablers and inhibitors. And so enablers are those sort of acts that sort of increase the risk of violence. And so if I go around the workplace in a more like aggressive posturing tone, I'm going to bump up against people. I'm going to have conflicts more readily. Those are enablers. You can also think about societal enablers, people who, if you're addictions issues, you're drinking a little more, you're not thinking as clearly in your forebrain. And so you're now bump up against someone else, some other interaction where that's also, there's a little bit of a aggression or conflict there. Those all kind of add together to increase the risk of violence. And so in this course, we kind of frame some of those enablers and inhibitors, and we want to bring the inhibitors. We want to put a dampening on the fire that is maybe growing and the more fuel or gasoline on the enablers to violence. And so enablers can be like toxic workplace culture. Enablers can be to the degree of how you set up your reception area, and that there's like a power imbalance between that person that comes in and the person working at the reception desk, and they're always kind of feeling that awkward interaction. That Enablers can be that form as well. Inhibitors can be of the form also of I have a positive status in the community. I have a good job. I have a family. I don't want to risk losing any of those. If one has been put through interactions where I've had my dignity challenged, I've been disrespected, I've been put down on, I feel like I'm in the lower points of society, I have less to lose. I'm more willing to take risks and grab for something or be aggressive at something. And those can also all be enablers of violence. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to learn more about de-escalating potentially violent situations or any of our other training topics, please check out the link below for additional resources. Take care.